Hello, my dear friends. This is Dr. Suresh Shenvi from Aspire32, and today we have another important guest for our podcast. That is Dr. Sumedha. She is an alumni of KLE Dental College, Belgium, and we are extremely proud to have this podcast on this rare topic, which there are so many students keep on asking when they think of doing DDS. But Dr. Sumedha is very important for this podcast, and that is because she is working after her MPH. She finished the MPH from very prestigious institute, that is Boston from United States, and she is now working as a clinical data manager, and she did finish her BDS from KLE Institute of Dental Sciences, Belgium, India, and she has presented at various national international level, and so she has completed so many certificate courses. So first of all, thank you for accepting the invitation, Dr. Sumedha.
Thank you so much, sir. I think the pleasure is all mine. Thanks for the invite, and kudos to you for everything that you're doing for the students. I think it's really important because there isn't a lot of information available readily. So I know a lot of students, when they're planning to apply for MPH, they do have so many questions, and it's always good to have something on a platform. So yeah, I'm glad to be here.
True. And I think that the confusion is because many students plan for DDS, but the general information what is available or based on the experience of the students who have applied for DDS after completing BDS from India, that they fail to get selected majority of the time, and most of them some more experience in United States and they tend to join this MPH. But there are students who ask that can we work after MPH? So that is what is a confusion. But before going ahead with that confusion or solving that confusion, what exactly is MPH program?
Yeah. So Master of Public Health is a graduate level program, and it deals with practical aspects of public health. So usually we begin with a core curriculum and then move more towards specialized areas based on the selection of the students. So it could be epidemiology, it could be biostatistics, environmental health, health policy, and so many others. So, it really depends on what concentration or what majors you select. And then based on that, there is so much you can do with your MPH. There's a lot of potential. There's a lot of different job opportunities that you can go towards.
And how long is this MPH program? Because when somebody talks about DDS program, it is 4 years actually, but for international students that is called as advanced standing program, and that is condensed to a 2-year course. There are few students who have completed MPH. They did tell me that some people have 1 year MPH program, and there are some people who are saying that there is 2 year. What exactly is the duration for MPH program?
I think it definitely varies from university to university. I think majorly the program that I had applied to were a 2 years full-time program. So you will have 4 semesters of courses, and then, you graduate. Typically with Boston University, I can speak to that. I completed my courses in 3 semesters, and my 4th semester was just my practicum, which is, getting an internship and applying everything that you have learned throughout your graduate program. And, that's the part of the curriculum. So you need to complete the practicum. So during that last semester, I only did my practicum, and I didn't have any courses at that point.
Thank you for giving that information, Dr. Sumedha. I want to know that what exactly is the procedure for applying for this MPH program? Because I know that MPH program is also there in India, and MPH program is also there in foreign countries. But the process generally for foreign countries is really generally different.
Yeah, absolutely. So with United States, I think the MPH program application is very similar to any other graduate program. So be it like engineering or anything else. So typically the process begins with giving an English proficiency exam and GRE. So that's mostly mandatory for most of the universities here. And then followed by that, you need all your statement of purpose, your letter of recommendations, your transcripts. One good thing about MPH application is you can do this through a centralized portal, which is called SOFAs. So this is really helpful because it's an electronic portal where you can upload all your documents and send your application, based on the universities that you have shortlisted. So it makes the process very easy, opposed to like other graduate programs where you have to individually apply to the universities, which is like very time consuming. So this SOFAs is really helpful, and that's the portal they use for all the US universities for MPH.
You mentioned that we have to do a GRE, and I personally don't know much about GRE because I did hear about this because when I was applying for MS programs in United States, they also mentioned that the GRE is important. But most of the time we hear about GRE from our engineering friends, and it is more about maths, solving those equations and all. But there are some students who told me that that component is not generally needed for the medical side. I'm always confused about this GRE. Can you just give some more information regarding this GRE?
Yeah, sure. So GRE, it consists of both math and English. It's not just math. So I think right now it's about 340 points when I had applied for it. So, it's half and half. So you need, the total score would be 340. So it's both English and math. So most of the universities do ask for a GRE score. I'm not sure if there are universities who waive it based on, your study background or other things. But when I had applied for the universities, most universities did require a GRE score. And I know it's like basic, high school math, like whatever we have studied in PUC 1 and PUC 2. I think the most important portion is time management during the exam. The equations and all of that is everything that you've studied in school, but it's just, doing that within the time limit so you get a great score. I think it's good to, just brush up your math skills, take some online tests, and you should be good.
Will the online preparation will be sufficient for this?
I think it depends on how much time you put in. I had taken some additional courses, and it's not because the exam is very difficult, but because with coming from a healthcare background, you probably lost touch with math. So it's always good to get some extra courses and see what the tips and tricks that they use, which help in the exam. So I think it's good. I personally would say it's
more about practice. Similarly, the way the TOEFL is there, when you give it for the first time, you actually know what the exact way to prepare for the exam.
Yeah. And there's like enough material on both these exams, like GRE as well as TOEFL. You have multiple books that you can refer to. They sort of give you all the problems and, examples, and then followed by this ton of material online too. And they can do like practice tests, which all in all really help. And I think about 6 to 8 months, I think it's a good amount of time if you're preparing on your own.
Okay. It requires 6 to 8 months. And how about the TOEFL? How much score do they expect if you want to get admission in a very good institute?
If I remember correctly, I think it's out of 120. And I think most universities usually have a cutoff of 90 or 100. Some of them have 90, some of them have 100. But again, TOEFL, you have like listening, there's like writing, speaking, and other things. So those, like, you just need the aggregate score should be about 100, which is good enough for most universities.
The process, as you said, is very much organized. There are few students who apply from India to this MPH course. Generally, if you want to apply some course for DDS also, we have to give an interview, and then only you get selected. And that interview generally is in person. But few of the students with whom I have interacted, they applied from their home country, that is India, and they went after the admission. Is that possible?
Yeah, there's no interview really for the MPH program. You do the application and they review your application as a whole. So this includes all your scores, your transcript, and they see, your statement of purpose, your letters of recommendation. So in all, it's a holistic review. And if you are selected, if you get accepted, then you can directly apply for a visa and get in. So there's no formal interview as such.
And what if somebody asks you to mention 3 to 4 important points which can help you to get into this MPH program? What will be those 3 4 important points?
I would say it again depends on the concentration or the major you're picking. So when I did my MPH, I chose epidemiology and biostatistics. So while applying, I think having a lot of research presentations done, poster presentations done, doing a lot of volunteer work has helped, and some additional courses too. So since I was doing biostatistics as my major, before coming here, I decided to do a SAS course, which is a software for analysis. So it's really helpful because it just puts you ahead of other students, and it's that way you can get some on-campus jobs or even volunteer for some jobs having that background. So doing such courses which help your major, I think is really good. Apart from everything that you do, during the internships, like volunteer work and working in the student councils and all of that. So I feel everything is helpful in general.
Now I have understood it better. What you're saying is the MPH also has different subjects. You are saying that you can do it in statistics. There are other, but I really don't know it. The statistics and epidemiology is a very dry and confusing, quite hated topic. But selecting that topic after finishing BDS, very apprehensive because it is all about those equations, statistics. Which test you should apply. How was the experience of even thinking, before applying?
Yeah, I think it was overwhelming for sure because, as you said, we don't come from a lot of stat background. So it is quite challenging at first. But the core courses that we had at Boston University were really helpful because, even if you just start those courses and you feel like this is not what you want to do, the universities are still flexible and you can talk to them about changing your concentration. So it's not a fixed rule that you apply for one concentration and then you're just stuck with it. Most of the universities would be like, if that's something you want to change, they will definitely give you some advice on it and they will support you through it. So that's one good factor I feel, which was helpful. But with Boston University, I think what was appealing to me was that epidemiology and biostatistics came together. So a lot of universities just offer epidemiology as your major and, biostatistics a separate major. But I just feel it's so much better to do them together because they just go hand in hand. So, that was really appealing to me. And I thought, my interest was in it. So that's the reason I went ahead with my feeling.
Really appreciate the way these schools run in United States, that they give so much of freedom for the students. And sometimes I do feel that why is that not applied in Indian dental schools or institutes? Maybe we are heading in that direction. But since you have so much experience of learning in foreign countries, what do you think the important change which is needed in our curriculum in India, if you feel that can be incorporated in the dental school?
I think one major difference I've noticed is that you are graded throughout the semester. It's not just based on exams, or I feel like in India, there's a lot of pressure around exams, be it like practical exams, be it, written exams. There's a lot of pressure around that. But here in the United States, you are graded throughout. So you have like multiple tests throughout. You have to do a lot of projects. There's a lot of teamwork, which is helpful because especially with Master of Public Health, I feel like it's so important to get others' perspective as well. So we had so many courses where we had to do teamwork, which I feel is very different from what we had back in India. Well, there's no good or bad, but I just feel that's something which is very different, and it's helpful for students because it doesn't put them under pressure just one time.
You were a student in India and you were a student in United States. Was there any change in you? Like you were different here and then there, you cultivated some different qualities, maybe because of the way of teaching or because of you are surrounded by different kind of students. Was there any change in your approach?
A little bit, yes. I think here it's always good to be vocal, show that you are interested, show that you're working hard. That really makes a difference, because that way, you're just interacting with the professors, just reaching out to them. It becomes very easy. And that way, even the professors know you, what you want. And if you need like additional help, they support you through it. So I think back in India, I was a little hesitant in doing that, but here I think it is very important to that. Just like you would even, do networking in the future if you're looking for jobs and other things. So I think that's a major difference in me.
Once you have finished your BDS, how much time did you take to get into this MPH program?
So I think I had about 8 to 10 months from my graduation to when I started. So I did not waste a lot of time. I had decided that I will be pursuing my master's at start of my internship. So I started my application process and getting all my documentations together while I was doing my internship. So by the time I graduated, my applications were all out. So I had everything ready, and I had applied for the universities. So around if I graduated somewhere in October, then by February I found out how many acceptances I got and all of that, and then fall 2016 is when I started my MPH.
And you did all the process on your own, or did you take help from some consultancy?
I did. I took help from my consultancy. They usually guide you through the process. I think it's good to have them, because they also help you shortlist the universities, because they have so much experience, working with different students. They know what universities offer, what kind of courses. But again, I feel like students should not completely rely on them. It's always good to do your own research as well, because it's you who's putting all this money, all this effort to get your master's. So it is your responsibility to find out as much as you can about your courses and what you're planning to do.
How much is generally the fees for the MPH program?
I think it varies a lot, but approximately, I would say between $30,000 to $80,000 for the 2-year courses. And again,
does it include the expenses?
No, it's just the tuition. So living expenses would be separate, and it again depends on the state you're living in and all of that.
You need to have a F1 visa for this, the student visa. Yeah. That if you go to the visa counselor here in India, you have to have all this documentation. Do you think there is a chance of getting rejected even after having completed all this process?
That's really hard to say. I feel like, if you're going to a good university, why you're applying for these courses, you have a purpose, and you're able to, justify all of that when they question you during the interview. There's no real reason for them to reject it. And, even during visas, they ask for a lot of financial documents as well. So that's important to based on your tuition, the certain amount that you need to show in finances. And this is what the consultancy helps you to figure out as well.
The international students, do they get any scholarship for the MPH program?
Yeah, absolutely. Most universities do have scholarships. I highly recommend students applying for MPH to check with their universities what's their scholarship policy. If they need a separate application, there's always a deadline to it as well. So make sure you apply for it. If there's a separate application, definitely do it. It all depends on how much scholarship they are providing and how many applicants they have and all of that. And based on that, they usually do provide scholarships to students.
How many students you generally have in your class for this 1 year of or one class of MPH program?
Again, it varies. So for core curriculum, so we have various groups as such. And I think in my group, we had about 70 to 80 students. So this is for the core curriculum. So every student who is getting into MPH will have to take these core courses. And then as you go towards your specialized concentrations, the number reduces. So again, there are like so many courses that are available based on what concentration you pick. So some courses will just have like 15 to 20 students. Some popular courses will have about 50 to 60 students in them. So it really varies.
The one thing which many students ask me, and that's what I mentioned initially, that some people are really not sure whether they want to do DDS or not, but they want to move to United States. And because I really don't know what was the main reason you opted for MPH, whether that you thought of DDS and then you went ahead with MPH and you continued that, or maybe at the beginning only you had thought that I want to move to United States, and that's why you started with the MPH course. But do you think that with just MPH course in United States, whether a person can have a lot of growth?
Absolutely. So let me start by giving you, perspective from me. I wanted to do MPH from the start. I never had plans to do DDS. So this was always something that I was passionate about, and I wanted to have my career in this field. So a lot of students do come to me asking, why we should do MPH, and if you want to do DDS, then what's the process and all of that. I personally recommend students to be really focused on what they want. If DDS is their goal, then I know they come here for MPH first, but it makes a lot of difference in the kind of universities you're choosing, because you wouldn't want to spend so much money on your MPH when you're again doing DDS, which is very expensive. So, that makes a lot of difference. So the kind of universities you're applying to will change. Again, throughout the 2 years of your MPH course, if you're coming with the expectation that you want to make a career in MPH, then you would work hard towards that. You need to find some internships. You need to do some volunteer work. There's so much you need to put in order to find a job once you graduate. But if you are preparing for DDS, then you probably don't have that time to put in for your MPH. So you'll probably just keep doing your courses, complete your MPH, and then keep giving your NBDE part 1, part 2, all of that. So I think from the start, if you're clear as much as possible what your final goal is, it's really helpful. And that's what I usually, recommend everybody. Just focus on what your end goal is and what you want to, achieve.
That's a very nice way you have explained, and I think that is what the students should concentrate. That focus is really, very important, and that's why I have invited you to this podcast, because many people told me that you always wanted to do an MPH, and that's why you are the best person to guide such students. That if somebody just want to move to United States and their passion is about MPH, they can watch this podcast and feel inspired. Since you mentioned that after MPH, you have future prospects, like can you do some other courses? Is there any higher degree after MPH?
Yeah, you can do a doctoral or PhD courses once you complete your MPH. Based on the concentrations you had picked during your MPH, you can do your post-graduation in the PhD degrees in that concentration as well. So that's one thing. And then in terms of diploma courses and others, I feel you can absolutely do that based on your career growth, see what job prospects are there in the market and what they are demanding. So you can definitely do some other certificate and diploma courses as well. A lot of students do MBA once they complete their MPH too. So, if they want to take that route, so they tend to do that as well. So there's multiple, lines that you can pick.
And what about the job aspects after finishing the MPH?
A lot of it depends on the kind of experience that you have, the university that you're doing your MPH from, the kind of collaborations they have. There is definitely a lot of jobs in the market, but the tricky part is to get a sponsorship. the long time, if you want to stay here in the United States, a sponsorship is a must. And that's where a lot of students, find it difficult to find those sponsorships, because it's not easy for your employer to sponsor you, because there's a lot of cost involved. So not everyone is willing to to sponsor you. So I think the challenging part is to find sponsorship, but there are a lot of jobs, based on the concentrations, again, your area of specialization you pick, there is definitely prospect.
After MPH, roughly or grossly, how much a person can earn, if you can mention, if you're comfortable in mentioning it?
Yeah, sure. I think it would be between 50 to 100 $1,000 once you're a fresh graduate. Again, if you're doing really something like biostatistics, then your income would be higher. And if you're working as a clinical research coordinator, or just you're doing some research work, then it'll sort of be on a little lower end.
You have almost answered all the very important questions, and I'm sure the students who is watching this podcast, most of them, their confusion will be solved, because you have covered every aspect, which even I was not aware of. But at the end of this podcast, if you want to convey or conclude, what would be those important words?
The most important thing is do your research. It is so important, because if you want to really do this for life, you know how important it is to know what you want to do for life. So that's one thing I would say. Based on that, do your research on universities, do your research on what kind of courses they have. Students would be apprehensive to reach out to people, but everybody is here to help. Just reach out to students who have done this in the past. They'll just guide you through it somehow. Even the admission departments here in the universities are always here to answer questions that they have. They can also connect you to students, to their alumni. So I think that's something to keep in mind as well. So do your research. And I think one other important thing is network as much as possible. I know it's easier said than done, but networking is very, very important, especially once you come here. You never know who you'll meet, and how opportunities arise. So I think it's good to always go above and beyond, and just have the conversation with people.
Those are really amazing words, Dr. Sumedha. And I thank you once again for giving us your precious time and explaining in detail about the MPH program in the United States. We hope to see you in Belgium in future whenever you visit to India, and hope the students here also get some guidance from you personally. And happy to have this podcast, and hope that people will like and share this podcast with their friends.
Thank you so much, sir. I think it was a pleasure being here. If it even helps a few students, I'll be more than happy. And I'm also available on LinkedIn if anyone wants to pick this path for them, and they have questions. I'm happy to help.
Dear viewers, we'll see you once again with one more podcast very soon on Aspire32. Don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to the channel, and share this video with your friends. Bye for now.